Hello and welcome to our home apiary where we've just got the one hive which we're going to run as a sustainable apiary throughout this year and into future years. It happened to be the hive that is in my garden, but it is already super strong. I have had a look into it 2 weeks ago, and the bees were on 10 frames, which is exceptionally strong. So they've had another couple of supers, and I suspect today they'll probably need, I'm predicting they'll need some more, but I've got no idea yet what we're going to find in the brood box. So what I'm going to do today is go through the brood box in the normal way, following Ted Hooper's 5 questions. The other thing to bear in mind is that today it's actually 10 degrees and sunny, and most of the books will tell you that bees don't fly at 10 degrees and you shouldn't look at your bees at this temperature, but it actually feels in the sun really hot. So I would say that it actually feels at least 5 degrees hotter than the weather would indicate. I've got here ready 3 nucleus hives with foundation in, ready in case we find swarm cells. Given the strength of the colony, that is a possibility, and if that happens, then we'll need to find the queen and make up some nukes. So without any further talk, let's get into the bees. Okay, so I'm going to give them a light puff of smoke, and then remove the roof. Now, as you can see, the bees are all the way up to the top of the second super, so there's a strong indication that they're going to need some more space. I'm going to lift, first of all, I'm going to lift off both supers, which are modestly heavy. So there is already nectar in there. Lots of bees at the top, so I'm just going to smoke them off the queen excluder. Gently as I can. Just put that down there. So now I'm just going to go through the frames and see what we see. So as Hooper would say, you're looking, first thing I'm looking for is eggs. If I see eggs, I know I've got a laying queen, even if I can't find the queen. The second thing I'm looking for really is the state of the colony. Is it progressing as I would expect for this time of year, and is it preparing to swarm? I'm also looking to see if the bees have got enough food, have they got enough space, and are there any obvious signs of disease. I'm not going to do a thorough disease check today, but I'll look to see if there's any obvious. This is kind of like what you want to see with your bees. They're pretty calm, they're on the top of the frame, they're not at all interested in me. There's quite a few bees in the air, but these are bees that have been foraging and coming back, or bees that are orienting, so they're not flying up out of the hive. So as my dummy frame, it gives me space to operate. And okay, so my first frame is good. It's got, I can see it's actually got eggs on. I don't know if you can get a close-up on there. So we've got eggs on there. There's a little bit of drone brood about, but importantly, no sign of queen cells just yet. So I'm not going to worry about eggs now. If I see the queen, that's fine. If I don't, that doesn't matter. I know that she's been there in the last few days. And also, if the queen had left or had swarmed, then I know these bees could make a queen because they've got eggs. So we've got lots of evidence of bees that have emerged since the last time I was here. I'll also point out we've got drones in the hive, which again is a really good sign and shows that the colony is well advanced. Nice black drones. Lots of fresh brood. Obviously important to be as gentle as you can when you're breaking the seal on the bees. But again, that's just lots of seal brood workers with yellow pollen. I can see actually at the bottom here we've got a couple of what look like play cups. I'll just break those open. Again, it's okay for me to break these queen cells down because I've actually already identified we've got eggs. So if those cells were charged, it wouldn't be the end of the world. By charged, I mean that there's a larvae in there, the bees are feeding and they're already starting to turn it into a queen. Just want to smoke them off the edge so that I can get my hive tool in. Got a few festooning off the bottom. So again, there's no sign of queen cells. If you were concerned that you couldn't really see whether they were queen cells or not, then you can shake the bees off, but these combs are lightly covered and I can see what's going on the comb. This is a relatively good brood pattern, a few patches in there. Got some orange pollen on the bees there, which probably is dandelion, and a few queen cups that I'll just interestingly, there's a bee with orange pollen there who's going up to the other bees, getting on the back of their abdomen and bouncing up and down on them. And that is a stimulatory dance that she's saying, come on girls, let's get going, there's work to be done. She's just there. You just see her bouncing up and down on the other bees. As I'm putting the frames back, I'm making sure that they're connecting with the previous frame so that at the end I'm not going to be pushing them all together. I've moved the bees out of the way already. So gentle movement to get them out. So as I say, we have a super strong colony, few drones around the edges. A few clear cups, lots of pearly white larvae, absolutely beautiful. As we stand here, the bees get a little bit noisier just because there are more and more returning from their foraging. And they're finding the hive not quite as they left it. So then the next frame I'll show now this is a frame that I've given the bees with drone foundation, and as you can see they've obviously made, that is entirely made up of drones, and that helps keep the rest of the comb tidy because the bees know where they're making their drones. Okay, and I'll just check the last frame. Last frame is usually pollen. So you can actually see there lots of varieties of pollen, lots of different colours that the bees are currently bringing in. Even though the weather is often below 10 degrees centigrade, the bees are bringing in plenty of pollen and nectar. You can see it on their legs as well, yellow and orange mainly today. So for today, that's largely it. We've identified that the bees have got, I'm just going to smoke these to get them out of the way so I can put the queen excluder on. We've identified that the bees have got pollen, pollen is coming in, they've got food, there's nectar in the honey supers. They look like they need more space, so I'm going to actually add 2 more supers to them. And that's quite heavy, which is fantastic. I will actually show the honey supers just so you can see the nectar that's coming in. I need to take this off to get the other supers off anyway. Now, one thing you'll notice here is I actually give my colonies a strip of just foundation, and the bees will build their own comb from it. There they're building drone comb, but the comb next to this one also started off as a slip of foundation, but that's what the bees do with it when they're finished. And if you have a look in there, I don't know if you want to just shine it up, put it up to the sun, because then you can see the really shiny nectar. Now I can tell that's nectar because it's just shining. When it's turned into honey, it looks a dull waxy colour. So without even shaking this and making a mess, I can tell that that is just fresh nectar that the bees are currently bringing in, possibly from dandelion, and possibly there's a lot of blackthorn about at the moment. And what I'm doing here is you've got a fully drawn comb there next to a sheet of foundation. It's something known as checkerboarding, so that it encourages the bees to draw straight. So that's the second super. They're filling it up with nectar. It's not completely full, it's not completely drawn, but at this time of year, with a colony that is so strong, I really want to make sure that they've got every opportunity to have space so that they don't want to swarm, and also they've got space so that they can expand. And then these supers that I'm putting on, these are half drawn and half foundation in the main. The drawn comb the bees can start to fill immediately. and the rest they can draw and then fill at their leisure. I'm just going to put this on at an angle, slide it round so that the bees move out the way. And would you believe I've forgotten the dummy board? So I'll just take that off. When I'm opening frames, I use my hive tool horizontally, and when I'm putting them back, I get better leverage if I'm using it vertically to push the frames back into place. Normally I would scrape the stray wax, but as the conditions aren't ideal, I'm just going to put the bees back as they are. Queen excluder. So let me put it all back together in the right way. Honey supers. Out of the way. An angle. Gently ease the bees out of the way. Get them leveled up. The best way to get your supers lined up is actually to go corner to corner. If you line up the opposite corners, you're always going to get them where you want them. Crown board. These are crowding at the front. And finally, the roof. You don't need the nukes today, but you never know, and when you do, you need them straight away, so it's always best to be prepared. I will show the nukes. These are Amazing More nukes, painted with masonry paint and just ready with foundation for when we want to use them. The Ash Amilla feeder. These are new, recently painted. So that's everything for this week. Please catch up with us next time.